Let's take a couple of minutes to look at some more of the Excel screen and some ways to move around or navigate within Excel. We're going to use the exercise file we've used before, Excel Introduction 100 Start. Let's open this file and start out. We'll go to the Start tab. Now I have actually hidden my ribbon so that it doesn't take up the room. I just clicked my minimize ribbon, so don't let that alarm you when we're looking through this exercise. Probably the biggest area of the screen is the middle part here, and it's where all the cells are. You know, a cell is the basic unit of work in Excel. It's where we type all our information. And in Excel 2010, we have an incredibly large amount of cells for every worksheet. There's over 16,000 columns and over 1 million rows to work with. So for those of you who remember older versions, we only had 64,000 rows, and sometimes that was a limit. Well, now with 1 million rows, I really don't think you're going to run into a problem where Excel's not going to be able to handle it. Now, there's several ways to move around the cells area. The first, and probably the most intuitive, is just by clicking a cell with your mouse. Whenever you want to do something to a cell, you click on it, and then just start typing or doing whatever you'd like to do in that cell. That works really well for everything that's visible, but for cells that are beyond the visible screen, we might need other ways to get there. The first thing we're going to look at here is on the right side. It's a vertical scroll bar. Works like any other scroll bar in another program. You have these little arrows at the bottom and top. If we click down, we can scroll down and start seeing the rows below where we are. So we could type some other text down here. Okay, and then we can scroll back up, or we can grab this box, which is known as the elevator, and bring us right to the top by clicking and dragging. On the bottom of the screen, about half of the bottom of the screen is a horizontal scroll bar. Works the same way as a vertical one. You click on the arrows to move left and right. Or you can grab the elevator, click and drag it to move a lot faster within the scroll bar. The other thing that's useful with the mouse is the wheel. For those of you that have a mouse with a wheel, if you roll your mouse wheel up and down, Excel will scroll vertically. Typically it's about 3 rows per one click of the mouse wheel. If you're more of a keyboard person, there's lots of options for you to use as well to navigate the workbook. And the first and easiest is just the arrow keys. Press the up arrow to move up a key, press the right to go right, down arrow goes down, and left goes left. Now if you want to get a little bit more advanced and go further, if you hold the control key while you're using the arrow keys, you'll go to the end or to the next region of data. So if I hold control and hit the right arrow, I go to the end of my worksheet. If I go left arrow, I go to the beginning. And the same happens with down, go to the bottom of the worksheet, and up. Now I talked about going to the end of the next region of data, so let me click on the fruit stand tab, go in the middle of our data, and this is, you can see all the status. This may not be that significant, but it'll illustrate the concept. If I hold control and hit the right arrow, it's going to take me to the last cell in that region. If I do the same going down, it's going to take me to the last cell going down. So that's another way the control key works. It'll take you to the edge of the next region of data. If I hit it again, then it'll go ahead and go to the end. Okay, the home key will take you to column A in whatever row you're in. So if I just keep clicking the home key, it'll take me to column A. If I hold control and hit home, it'll take me to the very top in the beginning of the worksheet in cell A1. The end key works similar to the control key, except for it kind of puts you in a mode for a few seconds. So if I hit the end key, if you look down here at the bottom left on the status bar, I'm now in end mode. And now I can use my arrow keys to move to the end of the data. If I hit my right arrow, I go to the end of that data. I'm out of end mode, so I'd have to hit the end mode again to use another arrow key and go to the left. The end mode is not really my favorite way to do things, but just in the interest of trying to show multiple ways of doing things, it's good to illustrate that. Another way to move around in Excel is by using the Go To function, and this one's actually pretty powerful, and we'll explore more and more of it as we go through the course. But for the basics, let's click the Home ribbon, go over to Find and Select, and click on the Go To option, which will bring up our Go To dialog box. Now, in this first section is some previous ranges and cells we've gone to, but what we're really concerned about is this reference area down below. I'm going to type over that and type in an address of a cell I want to go to. I want to go to C250. So now if I click OK, the Go To box takes me right to cell C250. Pretty slick. So if I want to move back, I could go back to that Go To box again, but there's a quicker way than going through the ribbons. If you hit your F5 key, that will bring up that Go To dialog box. And then from right there, you can type in whatever address you want to go to. Say I want to go back to the beginning. I just type in A1, click OK, and I'm back to the beginning. Another thing that's pretty slick about it, so I'll bring it up again with F5. We'll talk more about references and addressing when we get into formulas and functions, but if I want to go highlight a range of cells, my reference area, I can do that. I could type A1, put a colon, that kind of tells Excel I'm getting ready to enter another cell. It's going to be part of a range or a series. And I'll type G7. I click OK, and Excel went to A1 through G7. It selected a whole range for me from that Go To box. The last navigational tool we're going to talk about here, and we may visit it again later as well, is the name area. Now, up here, this row between the ribbon and the cells area is called the formula bar. We're going to cover that in another unit. Right now we're going to look at the name box. The name box is always going to show you your active cell, what your active cell is. You see, even how I have a group of cells selected, there's always an active cell. Right now it's A1. If I hit the tab key a few times, it moves. My active cell is C1, D1, E1, etc. Well, the name box has another useful feature. If I click in there and I go ahead and type in a cell address I want to go to, it works just like Go To, except for it's faster. I can just click in there, type A1 and go right to it. I can type my range in there too. I can say A1 to G7 and it'll go to my entire range. So that's probably my favorite because it's the fastest and easiest to get to. I don't have to go through the ribbon or even hit F5 to bring up the Go To box. So in this unit, we talked about the cells area and talked about a lot of ways of getting around here and how the mouse is really useful for moving around in the visible screen. But then sometimes the keyboard shortcuts and using that control key can move you around when you have to get data that's off the visible page that you can see.